2, 11, 12, fire! What shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall we do with the drunken sailor? Lie in the morning. Hooray, up he rises, hooray, up he rises, hooray, up he rises.
Hello everyone, welcome to Drunken Sailor's Brew and Barbecue. This is Memorial Day weekend, and what that means around here is pulled pork. And what we've got here is a picnic butt, and it is a monster. This thing weighs in at a little over 12 pounds, 12.2 to be exact. This is the picnic butt. You can see the shank. This is the upper part of the shoulder. I'm sorry, the lower part of the shoulder. What would go right here is your Boston butt. This is a cheaper cut. It's about a little less. You can get it for less than $1.50 a pound. And because this thing is so huge, I'm gonna have to do a little cheat with it. I am gonna cut. Normally I wouldn't get rid of this fat cap. You can see it's pretty thick. I'm gonna get most of that off. I gotta leave some fat on there, but I just don't have 18 hours to cook this, which is what it would take with this fat cap on. So first though, what we're going to do is inject it. What I've got here for the injection is 3/4 cup of apple cider, 3/4 cup apple juice, a splash of apple cider vinegar, and a little bit of the rub, which you can find over here. And that's a store-bought rub, paprika, brown sugar, pepper, salt, and some other preservatives. So without further ado, we'll start injecting this thing. Jess, you can watch me. Okay. We're going to get this all over. And I'm really looking to get down into towards that bone. Get a lot of that apple sweetness. There we go. Once again, this is a 12 pounder, so I don't think we could really over inject this thing. There we go. There. Okay. Always be careful not to spill your beer. That's very important. Go right up into the shank. There we go. I'm going to use all of the injection that I made. Tell you what, let's flip this puppy around. There we go. Some more. See that meat really swelling up. Over here. Now the shoulder's a very forgiving meat. Tons of fat. But there we go. Oh yeah. We're going to eventually bring this thing up to about 190, 195 degrees on the grill. Oh, there we go. Okay. Let's go ahead. I'm going to trim this up and see what happens. That is a piece of fat. Alright, cut. Okay, we're all trimmed up. You can see there's still a fair amount of fat over on this side. The hide is all gone, but even like down here and over in here, still a good amount of fat. So there'll be plenty of rendering going on. So what we're going to do now, We're going to coat this thing up with some mustard, then hit it with our rub. Plain yellow mustard. Really don't taste this stuff. It's really just going to help the rub bind to the meat, not just fall off. We're going to give this a good rubbing. Both sides. All sides, rather. All the nooks and crannies, little crevices. Okay, back over. You can see a lot of the injection is coming out. Okay. Right now for the rub, and removing that fat cap is going to allow the rub to penetrate all sides. I'm going to rub this good, get it all over. Same thing with the rub. You want to get all the nooks and crannies, cracks and crevices. Get it all in, work it. This is a big piece of meat. All right, here. You can see why I want to wear gloves. It's a messy process. You can see I'm just working my fingers into all the little cracks and folds of the meat. I'm going to use the rest of this. There we go. It's a good piece here. Really want to cover it all up. It's going to take a long time to cook. The end of the shank here. Down in there. And we'll finish this off. It's going to make a good bark. And have some over here. There we go. Alright, we get to, give me just a minute. We're going to come back, wrap this thing in some saran wrap, let it sit overnight. Okay, so we're all wrapped up. We are ready for the fridge. This is going to sit as is overnight. I'm going to have to get up bright and early in the morning and get this grill going, because this is going to take probably a good 12-14 hours given its size, even with that fat cap trimmed off. So it's going to be about a day-and-a-half process to get this thing going, but it's all going to pay off in the end. It's going to be delicious. So we're all set. We'll see you in the morning. Okay, folks, here we are. Got the fire going about a half an hour ago. It's about 6:30 in the morning. Got this puppy sitting right there. I did put it on a rack. That's going to make it a lot easier to move around if I have to. I may want to flip this 180 degrees just because it is an offset. In the pan, I've got just water, apple juice, some beer. That's going to throw a little flavor up into the smoke. And we're sitting at about 2 1/4 right now. I'm going to bring this up to about 250. Let's get this closed up. It's going to be a while. We're going to mop it periodically. I'll get my temperature probe in there. We're on a hickory fire. We'll be back. So here we are about 3 hours into the cook. And it's about time to take a look at this thing and give it a little mop. So let's see what we got. Oh, that's looking really good. Developing a nice bark. What I've got here is pretty much the same thing as our injection. It's half a cup of apple juice, half a cup of apple cider, and then a splash of apple cider vinegar. Give this a good mop. Beautiful bark starting to develop already. Internal temperature is about, that's good, about 140 degrees. Grill temp is holding steady at about 2 1/4. Look at that. Ooh, smelling really good too. Neighbors are loving me. Okay, well, we'll let that sit some more and we'll be back later on and do the same thing. Okay, we're about 10 and a half hours into this smoke. We're sitting at about 190 degrees internal temp. The grill's still sitting at about 150. Ooh, it's smoky. Let's get a good look at this bark. It's looking good. We're seeding away from the bone quite nicely. We're at the tail end of this thing. I'm going to give it another mop. It's probably going to be about another hour or so, maybe a little bit more. And I'll put this over here. See what happens. Here we go with the mop. Same mop as before. A little bit more. Smoke hollow's holding up right well. There we go. Looking good. We're almost done. Alrighty, so we're at about 195 internal on this shoulder right now. So we're going to go ahead and pull it off of the heat. We'll wrap it in foil and we're going to let it rest for a good 45 minutes, probably an hour. And then it's pulled pork time. Alright, there we go. We are ready to wrap this. Once again, internal temp is about 195. That's going to climb for a little bit. Get these gloves off. There we go. Okay. Now, I've got 2 layers of foil crisscrossed. We're going to let this sit for about at least 45 minutes, probably closer to an hour. I can tell just from carrying it that that bone is going to fall right out of the meat. This is exactly what we want. So there we are, wrapped up, ready to rest, and then time to pull. Alrighty, well here we are. We went ahead and let this thing sit overnight and rest, and I think that's really going to pay off because this is looking delicious. We're going to unwrap it now, get ready to start pulling, and it's sandwich time. So see what we look like here. Amazing. Let's see what we got here. We'll take a look. Get a nice slice. Look at that. Now that is some good pulled pork. Alright, we're going to start pulling this. We'll get a couple of forks. There's somebody up at the gun range shooting right now. It is the morning of Memorial Day. Okay, I'm going to continue pulling this. Oh, it's just falling apart. This is absolutely great. Okay, I'm going to continue pulling this. We'll get it in the crock pot. We'll take a look, and we'll be back. Well, there you have it. Here's our final display of our pulled pork. It's been pulled off the bone. The bone came out without a hitch. We've got a lot of nice color, a lot of good bark. We're going to throw some sauce, a little bit of sauce in here, but most of that sauce we'll be throwing on the sandwich with some coleslaw, and it's going to be really, really tasty. I don't really have time to do my sauce today, but I do like basic North Carolina style. And I guess that's about it. So any questions or comments, please leave them below. And as always, have a nice day.